Aloha and welcome in. Mahalo for checking in. You guys, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here. Been a minute. We haven't seen you guys since the Super Bowl wrap up a couple of weeks ago. I told you guys the combine was coming, and I promised you I would check back in. So let me start by saying that this video itself, we are not going to have a quote of the day, quote of the week thing that we do. We're going to just get right into it. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, and I don't want to go on forever with you guys, but I do have some stuff for you guys. Again, congratulations to everyone that jumped on board with us for the Super Bowl, because not only did we go 3-0, but it was the plays that we had, because we actually kind of went 4-0 in a sense, because we said to take the Seattle, at the spread, but we also said to take them at an alt line of -11 or more, and not or more, -11 or less. Sorry, but at 11 you were getting like +4 to +500, so or 4-1, 5-1, laying 11. Obviously, as you guys know, they won by 16. But I think the 13.5 or 14.5 would have been the next big jump. But at -11 or 11.5, if it was, you got again 4 or 5-1, somewhere in that range. We had you guys taking the MVP. We laid it out. We told you it was going to be a run and defense game plan, and that, of course, again, we didn't give you this picks, but reading in between the lines, a lot of guys parse what we say. So a lot of guys did take a lot of the unders in a lot of the player props, because like we laid out, it would be a run game. So, and taking over with the yardage for Kenny Walker. Oh my God! Speaking of which I never touched on, but at that last big run that he broke out on, right, where he it got called back because of the holding, is like, oh my God, that upset a lot of people, because a lot of people had Kenny to make a, if he's going to win MVP, logically it's a high percentage, you'd think he would have got a touchdown, which he didn't. So again, we would have jumped to the same conclusion following ourselves if we didn't know ourselves. But anyway, the three that we gave you, or Seattle -11. And the other big one was Kenny Walker winning the MVP at plus somewhere. The lowest one we know of is +700 or 7-1, but the average run was about 9-1, +900. So congrats there. And again, like something like a 2-team parlay. If if you we're lucky enough to get through FanDuel or DraftKings, you just those two things, Seattle -11 and Kenny Walker to win the MVP. You're the both combined is like, because it's a math formula. I'm not savvy to it, but it would have definitely been more than 15 or 16-1. So two things that happen, and you get that kind of a return. Kind of nice. Anyway. Starting today, so on February 25th, Colin Cowherd, as you know, we follow him closely, big fans, very knowledgeable, very wise guy, very smart guy as far as the sports world. His takes are very, very broad view, pragmatic, outside the box a lot of times. I'll tell you a funny one is he had a guest on, and again, today, right now, as I'm sitting here, as of this morning, we now know Kenny Walker went to Kansas City. But I'll tell you right here, I have on my notes, K9 to KC, big question mark. He's not horrible at pass catching, but he's not bad as people make it out to be. But Kenny Walker headed to KC was kind of my notes here. And KC taking him would solve kind of a couple of issues. Again, he could be better in the blocking game, but Mahomes will adjust to that, as we know. Mahomes will always do what's necessary, right? And so maybe they don't need that element as much as, say, like a Josh Allen might need it, or even more so like a Joe Burrow might need it. But Kenny Walker is not horrible out of the backfield. He is not great. Super Bowl, he dropped one. There was a couple of games going down the stretch there from about week 12. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember in the moment because I was like, oh my God, because, he used to check down out in the flat by himself, a 3, 4, 5 yard dump off. But, he's got like 15 yards of green in front of him. And again, one-on-one, that's not a guaranteed tackle, right? And he dropped 2 or 3 from like week 12 heading into the playoffs. So again, he's not you're going to go play with Patrick Mahomes. So you better be able to catch the ball, right? Anyway, so Kansas City ends up taking Kenny Walker. We're sad to see him go, our MVP of the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I kind of look at it from the perspective of all things. If you gather everything you know about the dude, right? And it's not a knock on him at all. I'm just being pragmatic. Everything we know, he's had a couple of injury issues, small, but again, not this year, but our 10-7 year, first year under McDonald, and his last year here with Pete. I just think that totality. Again, if it was like baseball, if it was all the billionaires just had to play their players, they could pay them whatever they want, and you could buy yourself a Super Bowl, as it were, then of course we could be very upset about, you let the guy go after what he's given to the organization, because money wouldn't be an issue under the salary cap. But 12 to 14 million, and you know what was funny? I should have looked up before I came on today what Kenny Walker got from Kansas City. I'd be real curious to know that. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put you guys on pause for 1 second and go grab that information, because I think it's important to this conversation. Oh my God. Okay, welcome back. Excuse me. I'll just read it. Super Bowl MVP running back Kenneth Walker III. Good for him. Signed a 3-year, $43.05 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs, with a maximum potential of $45 million, with a $28.7 million in total guarantees. The deal averages roughly $14.35 to $15 million annually, making it one of the largest free agent running back contracts in NFL history. Wow! And congratulations to Kenny Walker. I'm so happy for him. Hey, he did what he needed to do for us. He was a big component to getting us that Super Bowl. And congratulations to him for nailing the Brinks truck. Back it up, baby, as they say. Beep, beep, beep. So, okay. But again, so to this conversation, giving him that kind of money may cost us a cornerback or a safety in the McDonald run defense that he runs, or a linebacker even, where we can get a guy, and I have it over here. I'll jump ahead real quick to the draft, if you will. I think that I had it written down over here that we should draft. Oh, it was on my next page. I was like looking at it going, what happened? That Seattle should draft Jadarian. Look, the Love will not be available by the time the Seahawks pick. So let's just get rid. Even though running backs weren't generally taken in the first round. Okay, I can think of 2 right off the 3. We got Saquon Barkley, worked out, right? Worked out well for Philly. He did for the Giants too. They should never traded him. But anyway, good for him. He got a Super Bowl there. You got Todd Gurley. It's kind of started with Todd. It kind of actually took a dive because of Todd Gurley and what they paid him, what his draft position was, and then when he got injured with the Rams and so forth and so on, it became a thing. And he was kind of the cause of the big dip for the running back. Like they're interchangeable. You don't want to go all in on them. You don't want to pay them. You don't want to draft them ever high. But we've got Ezekiel Elliott, we got Todd Gurley, and we got Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson. So there are Gibbs there in Detroit. There are exceptions to the rule, and the thinking. So and again, I don't disagree with this. That not as the number one overall pick because who's picking first and what their needs are. Like this year with the Raiders, they're a desperate need for a starting quarterback, and although they talk about Mendoza in the year where who was it? A couple years ago with Caleb Williams and the kid in the one that's Heisman in Washington. So he would have came in fourth according to the experts. Fernando Mendoza would have graded out just in that quarterback class about fourth. This year's draft, it's super weak at quarterback. They're talking about even at like tackle, the O-line. This year's draft, there's a ton of tight ends. There's quite a few safeties. Wide receivers always abundantly a thing. And then cornerback is, I think, slightly better than numbers-wise. There's more than the average, and they hope for with some quality there. But it's definitely lacking at quarterback, right? Because they're talking about Beck and Simpson, possibly. I don't think this is true, but there are the pundits who are talking about because of team need and certain organizations that are just dumpster fires like the Jets or Cleveland with Shedeur, that was that a little Freudian slip there. I couldn't help myself. Simpson could turn out to be like the next Brock Purdy, unseen and an absolute starter, right? Especially if he goes to some place like the Rams, where he could sit for about a year and get mentored, learn, absorb, and not be thrown into the fire. I could again, you look at Alabama last year, a lot of it wasn't him. A lot of it was they didn't have a run game. They weren't a very good team in terms of Alabama standards. So anyway, kind of off the rails there. But back to Love, the running back. He is arguably in this draft the number one prospect, the number one talent, but he plays at running back. So the value still at running back. If you give every GM in this league, you know, the best, absolute best of every position, and then said what would they pick first? Obviously, the next Mahomes, everybody's going to take quarterback. But let's take the quarterback out of it because that's the obvious. But then if you went every other, center and break it down to specificity, like linebacker, inside linebacker, outside linebacker, the Mike, strong safety, free safety, cornerback, the slot wide receiver, a one, a two. Literally, like, really get surgical about it. I think a lot of GMs, smart ones like Harbaugh, are going to take left tackle first, to protect their quarterback and help their run and block for their pass game. High majority would take left tackle, I think, right? Cornerback would be very coveted. Edge rusher, in the passing league. But running back, as important as it is, it's one of those things is that you'll settle for a little less to get more everywhere else, right? But all that being said, there's a big argument, and again, I'm not arguing against it. Love out of Notre Dame could be the best prospect / athlete in this year's draft. I wouldn't argue with that. That you've got a couple of guys that came out of nowhere. Styles, it has risen from not being mentioned in day one to now being a top 10 You've got the two edge rushers that are favorites. Again, Mendoza's coming up, but they're saying Love could go high as 5, and that's kind of incredible for a running back, and good for him if he does. Clearly, he is not going to make it out of the first round, irregardless of where he goes. So anyway, KC got Kenny Walker. Congratulations to Kenny Walker. He nailed it, and he's earned it for sure. There were some other things. Anyway, I'm talking about. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but go back and watch February 25th. Colin Cowherd, The Herd. You find him on Fox. You can get him on Spotify. It's a podcast, YouTube, and Fox. He's got all the platforms. It's the same show, so wherever you consume it. But on February 25th, he does a interview with Sam Darnold, Slinging Sammy D, and it's very, very informative. I thought it was really a good piece. I thought you really got to see and learn even more about Sam Darnold and just the excellent dude that he is. I mean, what he's done, his story, and being kind of one of the new faces of the league. I think that the league makes out like this. I think all the players benefit from a guy like him, and I'm so impressed by him that I can't stop singing his praises. Anyway, a lot of news. I'll tell you how much news there is. We've been off for so long. One of the big stories when we're taking notes was that Davis Webb was going to be kind of the new OC for Denver. It was Peyton's decision, Sean Payton's decision. He's going to be the new play caller, right? And it's like the big story is because he's so young, and I guess he was just quarterbacking in the league not long ago, and that seems to be the like a new trend. As they call the NFL a copycat league. There's a few of these but really young, just were quarterbacks, like somebody you just thought was playing last year, and all of a sudden they're the OC or somewhere right under the OC in the hierarchy when it comes to play calling and moving up the ladder and becoming the next thing, the next Sean McVay, if you will. But that's old news. We've had the combine. I won't bore you guys right now. If you look up on Netflix, they have a guy, Todd McShay, really informative, breaks down the combine. He's really good. I think ESPN has lost their way, so I don't really like to watch any of their coverage anymore because half of the stuff is incorporated with anything. If they can send a woke message or if they can send a political message, they're going to insert that, and it's ridiculous. We watch sports because we want to watch sports. So McShay does a really awesome breakdown of the combine and the draft, and he's super accurate. And him and his guy that is his partner on that podcast, the McShay Show or McShay Report or whatever. Very informative. They know what they're talking about when it comes to football. Where you get like Mel Kiper, he's still screaming why Shedeur Sanders wasn't taken as a top 5 pick if you were last year, and we found out why, and went to like the 5th round, and him and Skip Bayless are both still crying racism in a league where there's a mixed pot, if you will, like we are in Hawaii. You've got every known nationality, creed, color, etc. You even got Asian guys now in the league in some way, shape, or form. So those two guys just, but again, I guess it gets them paid. I guess it gets them views. I guess their fan base, the Alphabet Mafia, keeps them in business. So, good for them. But in any event, if you want to know the real deal, it's about football and what you're going to do next when it comes to players and quality and all that stuff. McShay is really good at breaking it down. We had talked about, it's funny, Darnold's still getting a knock on him. Like, he didn't really win the Super Bowl. He just didn't do anything. Dude, he matched like one of Brady's Super Bowls was literally like, 200 yards or less than 200 yards and 0 touchdowns, but 0 interceptions, right? Or that kind of thing. It's about, I think the quarterback, when they're not Mahomes or run. Look, Lamar runs better than any other quarterback we've seen, right? And he's been to how many, not just Super Bowls, AFC championships, that many, 0. So, point being is it takes a lot of the IQ. Look at Stafford. Stafford, one of arch enemy of the Seahawks, but he is a coach on the field. When he walks up to go under center or in shotgun, as he looks left to right and back, he already knows the who, what, where, when, and why, and the how. You're not going to fool him. And then it becomes best on best, right? Like they say, which I had wanted to talk about that for a second, because it's like, if you go back and look at the Seattle Rams game on that Thursday night, and then the Seattle Rams game in the NFC Championship, our defense won most of our season and absolutely the Super Bowl, no question. But in those two crucial games, and nothing against our guys, I think they held as best as anyone could. But Stafford and Puka, they just went off, and I'm telling you, the defense were hanging on by the skin of their teeth, and it was the offense, I would argue, Darnold and the offense, that won both of those games, and rightfully, and needed to. I mean, in the NFC Championship, as you guys know, it was a back and forth shootout. The difference in that game was the Rams' special teams fumble, and if not for that, I mean, I think it's still we would have held on or come back. But again, we can argue that all day, right? Who knows? But the up by 11, and then Tariq Woolen did that stupid thing where it got us a penalty, and they got a first down, and the next play it goes to Puka for a touchdown, and it cut it to 4. But that was as close as they got, and we did what we needed to do. But if you really want to analyze those games, those were 2 games that the offense, all year long, it takes all 3 phases, right? But the defense and the offense gets the most accolade, because the special teams, literally, you could time it with a timer of a minute worth of plays. But they can be impactful, like Shaheed in the punt return on that Thursday night that started everything with the comeback. But you can say, okay, the defense more, almost like a car accident. They assign percentage of blame. Okay, you're 80% at fault. You're 20% at fault. Blah, blah, blah. I think you can go through the season and really say that, okay, the defense won week 3, 5, 7, 8, and 9, 80-20. The Arizona game where they blew, the Seahawks blew Arizona out. I think Darnold had like 100 and something yards and a touchdown. That was, he didn't need to play, because the defense and special teams had just set up everything. And if I remember correctly, Dexter got 2 touchdowns. Sack, fumble, recovery, or sack, strip, fumble, recovery, and ran it back. I think he got 14 in that game. So you know what I mean? It was just a ridiculous performance by the defense. Anyway, so that long way of saying it, Sam's still not getting the respect, but they'll find out this coming season, because the Rams, who got McDuffie now from Kansas City at cornerback, and made him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. And I'll tell you, I think there's a reason for that. They are now the odds-on favorites to win 26-27's Super Bowl 61. And I just think, again, it's like, isn't it still the reigning champs? We're not giving the Rams rings for last year, are we? So I get they got way better, and I fear and respect them, but the Seahawks are still the reigning champs. So, and not much has changed. Okay, Walker's headed to KC, and Boye Mafe edge rusher is headed to Cincinnati. But that being said, it's early. It's Monday. It's the 2-day window tampering period. Blah blah blah. We've got free agency, a long way to go. The trade deadline isn't until mid-season coming up. We don't have the kickoff yet, and we've got the draft coming up. The one thing I am a little nervous about, I'll be honest, as a Seahawk fan, is that we've only got 4 picks this year in the draft. I don't know if Shaheed leaves, if he doesn't re-sign with us, there might be a compensatory pick, so we would get 5, and it might be a 3rd or a 4th round pick, maybe. That's what I thought I read. That gets real complicated, but I think that might be the case. But even then, at 5 picks is not a lot to restock the shelves, if you will. Anyway, so yeah, but I think the keys are we have to re-sign the rest of our secondary, keep them on board. I was a big fan, and I had an opinion a while back, but again, Colin Cowherd has taught me that your opinion should be fluid. With the more information, the older we get, the wisdom and days go by, you should be willing to change your thought process or opinion on something if something drastically changes, or people bring your attention to something, so forth and so on. And in this case, I'll say this: when it came to our secondary, I hope that we locked down everybody. Oh, and by another one, I forgot to tell you, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is headed, I believe, to Chicago. So that's one of our cornerbacks. And he's one of the good ones. So, and that is what brings me to what I was just about to tell you, which is because of what happened in the Rams game in the NFC Championship, and then what happened in the Super Bowl where we were shutting them out of the end zone. They had a field goal or whatever, but they didn't have any touchdowns yet. Oh, no, in fact, I think there was still 0. I take it back. I think there was still 0 New England. And then Tariq Woolen gave up the first touchdown. But again, he was, and because he had run away from the guy, and he was off. He was behind on the play from the get-go, etc. Kind of got caught with his pants down, if you will. So the taunting with the Rams, it costed us the great play that he had just made to make it 4th down and 12, so they weren't going to go for it in that situation, and it would have been able to bleed more clock and maybe make it an 11-point win in that Rams game on the NFC Championship. I think my thought process was, let him go, because those are 2 impactful plays. But when I went back and I looked at his and I looked the season, and I looked at the growth, because I know that there was talk that he might have been kind of a character or attitude issue in the locker room, was kind of some of the reports that were leaking out early in the process, from OTAs, spring training, etc., preseason, and then early in the season. There was some, but then due to injury, and again, that's one of the main things is injuries, man. You got to have depth. But I think because of injury, he ended up getting more play time, and kind of proved himself. And when you look at, again, like we talked about Walker earlier, the totality of it, Tariq Woolen is, by PFF, one of the higher graded cornerbacks in the league. He knows the system. For all intent and purpose, he is good. Mentoring and guidance can fix the character stuff, the attitude or whatever. So value wise, I think maybe it might be that we keep him and pay him. Now, caveat with that, by doing that, we don't lose Witherspoon, which I don't think Spoon is up for contract this year, but they look ahead. Because he's the absolute must keep. He's the Richard Sherman 2.0, if you will. He's the lockdown corner of ours, Witherspoon, and he just keeps getting better. And I mean, he could have arguably been the MVP of the Super Bowl. So, but again, if we can keep Reek, Woolen, and the rest of our team basically intact, we obviously didn't get Max Crosby. He's headed to Baltimore, which we'll talk about that as in the days coming, heading into the new season, because again, I love the dude. I was hoping John could figure a way to get him here. As I looked at it, I was like, no chance. They're looking for 2 number 1 draft pick. John just doesn't pay that kind of price. Schneider. But I think that him going to, and I'm happy for him. If he's happy, I'm happy for him. I think that Max Crosby is, and again, one of the great faces of the league, and he is an alpha and a dude, but high character, great story, just hard working dude, you know. And so to me, he earns everything he's getting because he works so hard and keeps his stuff so tight. You know, he's just a great dude. Anyway, where I was going with this was, though, Baltimore, it's interesting that the new age formula of getting to the Super Bowl, getting to the playoffs even, is to have the quarterback at the cheap side, so you can pay a lot of other people. You need pieces. Colin Cowherd used to say a thing last year, about a year ago. He would harp on how, and it was based on the Philadelphia Eagles blueprint, that you kind of got to have 7, 8, 9 studs, really superstars on your team, household name guys that do what they do when it needs doing, right? And that obviously the quarterback's got to. It helps if the quarterback's one. You don't absolutely have to have the quarterback as a Mahomes guy. He can be, Darnold guy. He could be a Damon Purdy guy. Just Mac Jones. It's just that Drake May. It's just that you need those dudes. And they had like that rookie cornerback that got an interception in the Super Bowl on his birthday for a touchdown. Those kind of things. Even the rookies, our guy, Emin, they're the dudes, right? And so, in going into it with Baltimore, you got 2 massive dudes now, right? You've got Max Crosby and you've got Lamar Jackson. Well, Lamar Jackson last year didn't look so good, so I would point that out for starters. Max Crosby, we know he's the dude's dude. He's he's like, I would argue, one of the top 5 players in the NFL when you factor in effort and character on and off the field, football IQ, and all of that other stuff, and then athleticism. Oh, he's got to be top 5. But that's it. That's 2 dudes. Oh, and King Henry. Okay, they've got the running back King Henry again. Another rough season and another long season and a lot more tread off that tire. All respect to Henry. I have nothing against him. I love him on my fantasy teams. But how much more gas does he have in the tank? I mean, it's closer to the end than the beginning for him, because a lot of his running is hard running. And then who do you really have? Kyle Hamilton for sure. He's like their Nick Emenwari. And then that's it. Kyle Van Noy, good guy, brings a lot character-wise, brings a lot IQ-wise. I don't think that he's got a lot of tread left on that tire. I mean, again, Father Time's just undefeated, right? Tom Brady had to go eventually, and he's the GOAT. No argument, no question. He is the absolute GOAT. In fact, I would have argued that I thought Brady was going to play one more year. But I think he wanted to really go out on top. And, in this game, yes, Super Bowl is always way was the top. But Brady went to the Super Bowl and then tried to run it back. And they made the playoffs. But that, to me, is going out on top. I think he had one more year in him. I think with his mental acuity, I think he had one more year in him. But we'll never know. But all that being said, so Baltimore, right? They've basically got 2 or 3 dudes, and then there's nothing left. And Jackson supposedly is going to be trying to break the bank, and so and Crosby's contract is already set. It goes with the trade. So, but just those 2 guys, you're looking at over 50% of the salary cap for a 53-man roster. That's a lot. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to watch. Definitely going into this season. I will tell you guys anyway. So I'm not going to bore you guys with all the moves and like Styles going from nowhere in the being mentioned in the first round to now he's a top 10 guy out of Ohio State. That people are talking about drafting because of his combine numbers. Basically, he was like Nicky Manwari last year. This year, he crushed the combine, and rightfully so. A lot of that stuff is measurably directed to making good selections of players to fit a certain type of mold and expectation as you draft a dude. But that being said, this is not an exact science, and those things don't necessarily automatically prove out. I'll make my point with John Ross, wide receiver year. I think 2017, 2018ish, out of UW, Washington University here in Seattle, and he ran the fastest 40 time. And it was like a 4.22 or something. He either broke the record. I know he had the record for the overall combine that year. I think he broke the record. That records are on black and white being kept because there's always the unofficial Bo Jackson story. But Ross was a small but speed guy out of UW, and where is he today? He's not even in the NFL. He spent a couple of years, got injured with Cincinnati, but even in his first year, I was really excited about him, and he really didn't do anything, and never amounted to doing anything notable. He did enough. He made the NFL. He got paid, and he'll forever be an NFL player, right? Which is an accomplishment that many of us wish we could accomplish. But my point is that he went in the first round. And with these teams, first round picks you cannot miss. Cincinnati is where they are because they keep doing what they're doing. Anyway, so my thought process. Anyway, long story longer. We've watched the combine closely. We'll wait till the draft and see where who picked what and where guys are going, and then we'll have a better environmental picture of each team. Today is Monday with the free agency. They got the legal 2-day tampering thing going on. There is all of that, but it's wide open right now. There's so many moves. I would bore you guys with all the moves. It really doesn't matter. Unless it's your team, you probably don't care and probably haven't heard of some of these guys. But there's a lot of movement in the league this year. Suffice to say, I mean, there's like 20-something moves already. Re-signings and movements, etc. Like I said, we lost Boye Mafe. We lost Kobe Bryant. And so, yeah. I think that after the draft, we'll get back with you guys and we'll start pointing out some things. The one thing I will say that I want to be on record before it goes, I might have mentioned it already, but I think Seattle should target, not in the first round, but if he again, a lot of this is based too on what other teams do ahead of you, right? And with only 4 picks, it's going to be a tight window. But the running back out of Notre Dame, not Love, the next guy, the second guy, the Jadarian Price, over a guy in the combine. A lot of people are going, oh no, they should take Mike Washington. Washington had a great combine, but that's the hype people lose their minds and throw out a year's worth of research and tape. Washington's a decent running back. I'm not knocking. He's good. And you know what? They do draft him. It tells me that John McDonald and the scouts spend more time and know much more than I do. I don't claim to, if they're doing it, I have faith in their process. I I'll just I enjoy the process, their process. So I trust them completely. John Schneider, 2 Super Bowls with completely 2 different coaches, rosters, and incredible. It's not easily done, and a very tight window as well. It's within a decade of each other, within a stone's throw, because I think 14 was ours, and then now 26, so a little bit over 10 years, but still not an easy feat. And but yeah, so we'll take a hard look at that, and then we'll kind of let you guys know, especially for like the futures betting. And again, I'm really excited to get with you guys as we roll into September, into the new season. A couple of approaches on smart betting, and like for instance, how we can turn a 5-team parlay into like 32-1 odds, where most people are only getting 20 or 19. We're going to get you 32. So there's that. I want to go over real quick though. We did touch on the NBA on the last video. We talked about 3 MVPs with Wembanyama and who was it? The MVP of the All-Star game, Ant Edwards, and we talked about him. That we basically told you that, like, again, SGA is the heavy favorite, but when we said it, there was still a good chance SGA might miss enough games, because right now, as it stands today, if he misses 6 more games, he gets disqualified for the MVP award. So what we were looking at was the long odds and small money with a big return on ROI, or return on investment. But Cade Cunningham was the third guy. So we had Wembanyama, Cade Cunningham, and Edwards at really long odds, where you bet $20. I think Cade, I think you had to get probably a good $25 bet in on that. But Wembanyama and Cade Cunningham were really long. I'm sorry, not Cade Cunningham. And Edwards was really long odds, like $5 got you like 500 kind of a thing with Ant Edwards. And he had just won the MVP of the All-Star game, and he had really come on in the next game or two that we watched before that video in actual play, when they had gotten back to playing. So really good bets. And then we had given you a breakdown. Go back and watch the last one. We gave you a breakdown. Again, best odds. If it's not OKC, and like they say, it's really hard to repeat. So if you took out OKC, we kind of gave you the teams and like how we were approaching it for the best bets for the futures for the NBA. We're not a basketball picking service, but we did want to touch on that just a little bit, because this is the way we went. We want to let you guys know a way to make money. And then we promised you, and this is where I'm going to give you, is the college men's. Now we're heading into March Madness. This Sunday is the 68 reveal teams and all that. There's still a few teams trying to kind of on the bubble make or break. That being said, this year, because of the NIL, it's not likely that the top 4 or 5 teams are not going to be one of your national champs. So the obvious are Michigan, Arizona, Houston, Duke, and Florida. That being said, you can't bet everything, but I would bet. So we did this. So in Houston was plus 1,000. We put $30 to win 300. We had put $50 at Arizona to win 300, kind of a thing, because the strong teams. Duke $50. It was at the time plus 320. It says. So we did, we waited really late because we wanted a clear picture to win a couple hundred, and Michigan today I only bet like $25 to win 100 because I think that although they are the heavy favorites, I think that they're going to stumble somewhere. I just have a funny feeling. So then we looked at best odds. Best odds right now, your top odds considering what you're getting for them is Florida. So of all the teams, if I had to bet one team with the longest odds, with the highest chance of winning, it would be Florida for many reasons. One of the main ones is because a couple of other Michigan coach, St. John's coach, Rick Pitino, and a couple other coaches, like really, national champion winners or the front runners of these teams, they all were interviewed over the past 3 weeks, different times, different interviewers, etc. And they all were like made a comment about Florida being the team that's kind of coming on the most right now and kind of putting everything together and hitting on all cylinders and going into the tournament like momentum, just looking complete and balanced. So I like Florida with not the long odds. They're one of the favorites. They're one of the top 6 or 7 teams. But all things being equal, at like plus 10 to 1, you kind of like it as one of the heavy favorites. So that's where that's at. Now, that being said, with some of the long odds that you can get, I'm just going to touch on a few of these. Miami, Florida at plus 25,000. So $5 will get you $1,200 and change. So Miami, Florida for coffee money, $5. Georgia at plus 35,000. $5 will get you $1,700 and change. Iowa State, $10 will get you $150. Illinois, $20 will get you $260. Texas, $5 will get you $1,200 and change. Miami, Ohio doesn't stand a chance. I'm just prefacing it by saying that. But for $5, coffee money, they're undefeated, right? Going into their only undefeated team, and $5 will get you $37.55 or more. Actually, now I think they're even higher now. I did it at plus 75,000. I think they're now at 100,000. So $5 will literally get you $10,000 or something like that, or $5,000. $5 will get you $5,000. Hey. You know what I mean? Stranger things have happened, right? Cinderellas and all that. So Miami, Ohio. Ohio State, $5 will get you $1,700 plus. Indiana, $5 will get you $1,200 plus. Tennessee, $10 will get you over $600. St. John's, Rick Pitino, $5 will get you $300 and change. UCLA, $5 will get you $1,200 and change. Louisville, $5 will get you $400 and change. Miami, Florida, $5 will get you $800 and change. St. Louis, $5 will get you $500. Purdue, 10 will get you $200. They're kind of one of the top 10 favorites. Virginia, $5 will get you $500. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's all a little bit of for fun, for shits and giggles kind of a thing. Not really a serious approach to it, kind of more just to make it interesting for fun. So I wanted to touch that because I know we had promised you guys the college basketball outlook, and so there it is. We waited a little while. That's why we delayed. We wanted to kind of get a clear picture because we're not the basketball experts. I did a lot of research, watched a lot of experts, hours of it. I'd say 80 hours of it, 100 hours of it, and came up with kind of that little tidbit there. So again, my thing is the football. And we are expanding this 26-27 year into college as well. So we'll have college and pro picks for you weekly. Pros is where we want to dial it in. That's our specialty, if it as it were. But we've also realized college, we had a lot better record last year percentage wise with more picks. We were closer to high 60s with the college, almost 70, like 68%. Where pros we were in the high 50s, but then based on our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% kind of a thing, that's where not all bets are equal, right? Like Seattle, Super Bowl, we bet much more than we did say betting on Seattle in that Rams game on that Thursday night, which that was our call as well. So we almost doubled the amount bet on the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. So just and an NFC Championship, by the way. So again, it just depends. So we'll kind of have that rating system as well. It seems to be a popular rating system. So we will let you know 1 to 5%. It's basically 1 to 5% of your bankroll, assuming you're sitting or starting with a $10,000 bankroll. So basically, a 1% is $100, 5% the max at $500. Kind of simplistic, right? So 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. We'll let you guys know with that. So other than that, we appreciate you guys. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. Always make sure you catch us, listen to us. Once the draft happens, we will be much more consistent, because there's going to be a lot to share with you guys. And then you have OTAs, and we start rolling into spring training in the summer. And we will keep you guys updated and let you guys know where we're headed and why we're going in that direction when it comes to the way we play. But we definitely also want to educate you on like what we have coming, like the whole Survivor egg thing. I'll get into it later, but it's based on like 2 different games. One, the Survivor pool, but 2, the old Tamagotchi Japanese egg, keep the egg alive, little digital game thing. We kind of combined the 2, and we've got this thing. So basically, if you can kind of like pick each week a play and, take everything you made and risk that for so many weeks in a row, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on what we're talking about, you can really create a nice little nest egg there. What our hope is a lot of people don't have a $10,000 bankroll. My hope is that a lot of people can start with about a $500-600 bankroll, and we hope to get you to that $10,000 bankroll by week 6 or 7 with extra. And so then and then you'll be set up to follow whatever experts you want to, but we will be happy that we got you there. All right. Thank you guys again. Aloha for checking in. Mahalo, like we said. Like and subscribe so you're always notified of a new video we got coming. And again, like we said, listen to us while you're washing dishes, mowing the lawn, or taking a shower. We appreciate all of you guys. We hope that we touch on things that interest you guys as far as making some money. Oh, and by the way, one last thing too is we're also starting to get a little bit more dialed in on these the predictor markets, the Kalshi and there's 2 of them, right? I forget what the other one is. Polymarket and Kalshi. Why that's important is because it is a very nice way if you have that account, especially like where I live. I can't do FanDuel or DraftKings, so I don't have live in-game betting. But the Kalshi will allow you. I'll give you a perfect example. Last night I had a parlay, and it was an 11-team parlay, and I just needed a basketball game. I'll just call it Team A and Team B. I needed Team A to win the game. I took the money line, so it didn't matter. So they just needed to win the game. But at that point, there was the last thing I needed for an 11-team parlay, and so whatever I was going to make, let's just call it $200. I could bet when the team that I needed that was winning by 9 or 10 points in a basketball game. That's not a huge cushion, as some of you might know. I took the losing team, and at one point in the game, when there was like 5 minutes left in the game, I was able to bet $5 or buy enough contracts at 2 cents or 1 cent, $5 that they would win, and $5 would get me like 125 to hedge the 200. But I'm only risking $5 on this side. I'm happy to lose $5 for insurance on this side to ensure that I get the 200 over here. That's how Kalshi is going to be very important to you guys in football game, in anything going forward. If you've got a wager on one thing, now you can hedge it or be smart and offset it and guarantee cash out on it. One of the things that we have right now is like in Kalshi, the Charlotte Hornets are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. And you can buy them at 1 or 2 cents right now to win the NBA championships. They're not going to win the NBA championship. But if they continue to win, going hot into the playoffs, and then at the first round of playoffs might not even start. That 2 cents might be 8, 10, 12 cents. You're already 5 extra money from the 2 cents, right? If it gets to 10 cents. So you can think about cashing out a certain percentage and let the rest run a little bit more, or you can cash it all out, but you can make money without ever having to win or lose that bet that they won the champions. It's like a stock. As it goes up, you can sell it. The other thing is that, like, okay, in that one, let's say somebody did think they were going to win. Well, at 1 cent or 2 cents, you can buy 2,000 contracts at $20, or 1,000 contracts. I'm sorry, at $20, and at fruition, if they were to win the championship, it'd be $1 contract. So it'd be like $2,000 for a $20 bet right now. But it can get to what if they got to the NBA Finals? I've got to imagine that your $20 is going to be worth a few hundred, if not close to $1,000, or halfway to the max mark of $2,000. And that's my point, is that you can cash it out along the way. You don't have to have the winning ticket like you do in the sports betting arena. So that kind of makes it interesting as well. And so we're excited about that. But anyway, get on Kalshi, get on Polymarket, familiarize yourself with it, and so you guys will understand or know what we're talking about when we do it. One of the other things, because we did right now, so we did that one with the Charlotte Hornets just for shits and giggles. We put 20 or $30 behind it or something. The other one that we did some serious money, was a week ago, but it's not as good. We got it at 50 cents. This is the World Baseball Classic, WBC. We took 50 cents, so literally it was at the halfway mark of $1 for the U.S. to win the WBC. I don't know what it is today. I don't know what it is right now, but go in Kalshi, Polymarket, look it up, whatever, and it's definitely might be a bet. Now, again, the way to kind of self-teach yourself this is, I guess, go in and look. And if you sign up, get an account, Robinhood has Kalshi, for example. So you go in Kalshi and you say, okay, America to win, USA to win the WBC. So you punch in $100. It tells you what your return would be if correct. If they win it, and again, you don't have to win it halfway there or 3 days from now. That thing could go up and you could cash out and make money. It can also go down, but it can go up if it's going the direction you need it to go. But in any case, with that one, it tells you what your return is. Why I'm telling you this is, okay, so you go into your Kalshi, you type in $100, USA win the WBC. Let's say, I don't know what it is, but for conversation's sake, let's say at $100, your return would be $280. Okay, so now you know, total return, your $100, total return, $280. That's your total return. Now, you go to wherever you're placing your bets and go on, like, BetMGM or FanDuel, and you go US to win the WBC, and you put in your $100 there and see what your return is. Obviously, go with the bigger return. The only difference is, remember, with the predictive markets, you can cash out before the event ends. If you bet it like the WBC USA to win the tournament down at BetMGM, now it has to happen for me to cash that ticket. That's the difference. That's why you kind of like the cash. So again, if the difference is only like over here, it's $280. Kalshi return $280. Sports betting, my return would be $290. Okay, it's $10 more, but I get to cash out anytime I want to over here on the right, as long as there's still value to my contracts. I'll go with a little bit less return for the little bit more freedom. Now, if it's $280 return with Kalshi, but I'm getting a $580 return betting, and I believe that the U.S. is going to win the WBC, of course I'm going to take the $580 return. You see what I'm saying? So again, apply a little bit of common sense, people, to this situation. But again, get yourself familiarized with Kalshi and Polymarkets, because we will absolutely be using that approach along with everything else we're giving you this coming football season. All right. Aloha and mahalo. And again, take it easy. We will see you guys, I'd say probably right after the draft. The draft happens. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. scenario. It might be that first Sunday. I don't know, but it'll be within a week of the draft because we'll have a lot of stuff to cover. Right. I will give you guys a breakdown of everything I think pertinent, anything especially Seahawk related, right? But just everything in general that we see across the board because we're looking at who is going to go to the Super Bowl early on and who's going to be making the playoffs early on. All right. Aloha, mahalo. We'll catch you guys a little bit after the draft. Other than that, be good to each other, be kind to yourselves, and we'll see you guys next week. Or, I'm sorry, next time. Aloha.